do you eat like that? How are you getting protein? What do you eat? Do you eat lettuce all day? Why would you do that to your daughter? That's so inhumane. Don't you like chicken nuggets? Okay, these are questions that I get asked a million times, and if you're vegan, you probably get asked them too. But hi buds, my name is Megan. If you are new here, and if you're returning for another video, thank you guys so much for tuning in. So again, I mentioned a couple weeks ago that I have been talking a lot about veganism, and one of the top questions that I get asked is why and how I became vegan, how I've gotten to this point. Now, I'm going to go into the history and into the story, but the reason that I started off not talking about veganism is because I didn't want to be that vegan, right? I didn't want to be that person who was shoving it down people's throats. Very similar to like politics and religion. If you were truly, vegan, or you're trying to take this venture, or you have been vegan, or you're even vegetarian or anything like that, it becomes so much more than just a fun diet. It's a lifestyle. So it's very much embedded in the person that I am. But you don't want to be that annoying person who gives that group, right, the bad name. Similar to how people have a bad taste for certain religions, a bad taste for certain whatever. Some people have that over veganism, vegetarianism, pescatarian, all that stuff, because of some people who have given off and been so overbearing and overwhelming. So long story short, that's why I never really started talking about veganism. I didn't open up my videos with talking about them, even though it's been something that I've been doing for a really, really long time, and we'll get into that again. But, I just started kind of sharing food. If you don't follow me on social media, if you don't follow me on TikTok or Instagram, everything is down below for you. But I started posting the food that I was cooking, and then people started asking more questions. They started thinking it was good. I sell vegan dinners. I literally make plates for people to try, and people enjoy the food, and that makes me so happy. So thank you to everybody who has been supporting that. But anyway, literally all over the place. So anyway, I started doing that, and I started posting it. I started talking about it, and then slowly but surely, and then quickly, people started asking about veganism. They started asking what it is. They started asking what to eat, how I got here. And one of the most common questions that I've been asked is why I'm vegan and how I got to this point in my life. So we're going to talk about it. We're just going to go ahead and jump into it and kind of just tell you my vegan story and the things that have kept me on this journey, and that I continue to share again every single day on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. I share a vegan fact of the day. And it's always something interesting that people either challenge me on, or they appreciate and they take into consideration if they're considering a change in their diet as well. Yeah, let's just kind of talk about why I went vegan. So I have a very weird story, I guess, as to why I went vegan. Maybe not weird for people who are already vegan, because you may have gone through this journey already, but for people who are like, I want to be vegan, this was my transition period. So ever since I can remember, I just never liked the taste of meat. It just made me so sick to my stomach. I never liked, the typical ribs or pork chops or steaks. Like, I literally could not tell you the last time I touched any of that. Maybe 8 or 9. It just made me so sick. Okay. So I never liked the taste of meat. Always thought it was disgusting. And I have a very country father, and my dad would also hunt. And if you're going to eat meat, that is one thing that I support. And I think that that's great, is hunting for your own food, because you're not getting into all the stuff that we're going to get into a little bit later in this video. But so my dad was a huge country guy, and he was always hunting, and he would bring home, deer. He would bring home pigs when he went hunting, or turkey. And then he also got his meat from the Amish. And I'm peeling because I just got back from Myrtle Beach, so I'm itchy. I'm sorry. But anyway, so he would, bring all this meat back, and then he would butcher it on my kitchen table. So I would see this animal, a lot of the time still in full form, being butchered. And I was like, well, that just, reiterated and did it for me. I don't want to eat that. That's disgusting. That's sad. And it made me so sick. When he would hunt, he would always like hang the deer outside of my window, and I would just see it. I can't even talk about it. But yeah, so never wanted it. I literally stopped eating meat when I was probably around 11. And never been the perfect vegetarian, because I was vegetarian to that point. Actually, I didn't eat seafood, didn't really like seafood. So it was really just dairy at that point, and a lot of starch. I was very bad. I was a very bad, uneducated, ignorant vegetarian, which is why I talk about these things, because I did gain weight. I was really unhealthy because I was eating way too much starch and not getting enough of everything else that I needed to supplement for the fact that I wasn't, eating meat or the things that people tell you you need in order to get protein and things like that. So again, getting into that later. However, so wasn't a perfect vegetarian, definitely slipped up. Like a Chick-fil-A sandwich would always catch me up. When I was pregnant too. And that was the most recent time that I had eaten meat, like in the very beginning of my pregnancy. I ate some chicken for probably the equivalent of maybe a month of my pregnancy, right in the beginning of my pregnancy. And then it was just, I would bite into the, what's it called, the gristle or bristle or whatever the hell that nasty stuff is. And I was like, yeah, this is exactly why I stopped eating this crap. And I just cut it out, haven't touched it since. So vegetarian ever since I was about 11. And I think it's important to throw in here too, that it's normal to have slip ups. It's normal to have those mistakes and those, you're not perfect. Especially if you're somebody who loved meat and who really appreciated, the taste of seafood or meat or whatever that was. It is really hard and you're going to slip up. So don't feel so down on yourself or like you're a horrible person or you did something wrong if you do slip up, because you're probably used to it. And it is tempting. It's hard. And anyway, so yeah, basically vegetarian since for about 14 years actually. And then right around probably like 4 or 5 months in my pregnancy, everything else just started to disgust the living crap out of me. I used to love sour cream. Sour cream made me sick to my stomach. Used to love cheese. Cheese made me sick to my stomach. Never really was a milk person, but I couldn't even do milk with like cookies or cereal or anything. So I was like, you know what? Let's just try this full vegan. Let's just try fully cutting out every single thing that comes from an animal, that either is or comes from an animal. I'm just going to cut it all out. And it was a super easy transition for me personally because I hadn't eaten meat. I had already cut pretty much milk out of my diet. It was really down to like sour cream, cheese, and butter for, cooking and stuff. So it was an easy transition for me. Again, not an easy transition for most people because you like that stuff and it's hard for you and it doesn't make you sick. But anyway, so I took all that out of my diet. Again, not a perfect vegan, absolutely slipped up, especially with cheese. Because if you're vegan or you're trying veganism, you know that vegan cheese is just not where it's at. The shiznit is disgusting. So I definitely slipped up quite a few times, but, really got more strict with it, got more educated with it. So long story short, in that initial transition, didn't eat meat from a long age. So it really wasn't hard for me to cut everything else out. And then I just cut everything else out. Again, not perfect, had slip-ups, slipped up and ate ice cream, slipped up and ate cheese, things like that, until this year. So this year has become the year where I have solidified the diet part of veganism. 100%, you will not catch me slipping up, will not do it, refuse to do it. And it's so much deeper than just that initial thing now. And we're going to talk about it. But, so I definitely, this year has been a huge step in me not having the slip-ups anymore. And it's been an amazing, amazing feeling because it's so much deeper. And the more you get into it, the deeper it gets and the more intense it gets and the more that you just will not do it. So if you're trying to try veganism or you're trying to try vegetarianism or whatever it is, just know that you're going to slip up. You're not going to be perfect, but the more you research and the more you get into it and the more you get in tune with your body and the way you feel mentally and the way you feel physically and emotionally and all these things, you're not going to ever want to slip up because it's such a huge difference and you can feel it. And that's great for me. That's why I've gotten at this point in my life and it is coming. But it takes steps. It takes baby steps. One of my favorite vegan followers, or people that I follow, she always says like vegans are still baby vegans. We're all baby vegans because there's something all the way down to a raw vegan, right? Who y'all know don't eat any single thing that's even cooked, processed. They won't eat broccoli because broccoli is a man-made vegetable. They don't do any of it. They don't fry their food. They don't saute their food. And they eat raw diet. And I'm not near there. Also in the sense of veganism, my latest step in veganism has been, in the last probably like 3 months, I'm ready to now take that step of it being more than just a diet. I'm getting rid of purses. I'm getting rid of clothes. I'm getting rid of anything that had an animal had to die to make it. And so that kind of leads me into my next point. So for me, as I mentioned, didn't like the taste of it, easy transition. But then I started doing more research and I'm like, okay, well, like what else is this doing for me, right? And I started looking into, let's start with the animal aspect of things. I started really getting into what happens in the animal industry, just specifically on a humanitarian animal caring level. We'll talk about that first. And I can include so many pictures, maybe I will, videos and just tell you stories of the things that happen in slaughterhouses. And my favorite thing that I always love to tell people is like, we take field trips down to a pond and to a park and on a hiking trail. Nobody takes a field trip to a slaughterhouse because it is a slaughterhouse. And if we had humans going to a slaughterhouse, that would be illegal, right? So it's not a beautiful, peaceful way of these animals dying. And that would be one thing, like I mentioned, where, I know Native Americans, they hunt for their food. They do not waste any of their food. They respect their food. They pray to their food. They spend and take every single bit of that animal that they can use, and they do not waste it. They take care of their animals. They feed them the best. They let them free roam. That's completely different than what we as a culture, as a animal eating culture, do to the animals. Like chickens living in cages this big for 6 of them for their whole entire life. Let's talk about the cows. The cows that's a rough one. First of all, animals are very intelligent and they can feel pain. They feel fear. They feel sadness. They feel depression, separation. So starting from a pregnant mom. So, well, first of all, just a mom cow, they get raped, they get overly assaulted, overly impregnated over and over and over and over again. Some of these mama cows literally are pregnant every single chance that they can get. And when they're not pregnant, they're killed. When they do have their babies are ripped away from them and they immediately feel that separation and depression. And there has been so many videos and evidence of cows trying to escape, trying to get out to get their babies because they are so miserable and upset that their babies have been ripped away from them. And I'm gonna cry because I hate talking about this, but I'm talking about it because you guys want to know. And these poor mommy cows are ripped away from their babies in order to make milk, which is a product of animal, right? So in order to make milk, they do not let the baby cow eat their mama's milk or drink their mama's milk because it needs to be produced for humans. We are the only mammals in the entire world that drink milk from another mammal, from another animal. That's weird anyway. Like, why are we doing that? It's so weird. Sorry if you get offended and you're watching this, but it's weird and it's so sad. So that's part 1 of the cows. Part 2 of cows. Some cows never even touch ground the entirety of their life because they are lifted up in the air and held in the air for their entire life, for their entire however long their life is, because obviously that's not going to last long. And there are, again, produced, and there are different ways that they cut this meat. There's different ways that they get different products from this one animal. So when this poor animal is now lifted down to the ground again, immediately falls and snaps all its legs and dies and breaks everything in its body and dies because it's so brittle and weak from not being able to exercise and walk and live a normal life of a freaking cow. Let's talk about the fact that on average, it takes 3 cows, on average, 3 cows, to create one interior leather car. How many cars are there in the universe, on the planet, okay? How many cars are there on the planet that are leather? On average, it takes 3 cows. There are videos of cows going into the slaughterhouse and literally like stepping back and trying and begging and licking and doing everything they can to get the heck out of there because they know what's coming. So in their final minutes, they're fearing for their life. They're sad. They're away from their kids. A lot of the daddy ones are only raised. They're only fed. They're kept in small animal cages in captivity, and then they're literally killed the minute they're fat enough to be eaten. The way they kill these animals is a whole other story. And again, I don't want to get too vulgar, but research it. Just research it because it's going to make me cry and I can't talk about it. Pigs, same thing. Pigs are smarter than dogs. Some pigs are even smarter than an average 3-year-old. They're smart. They feel pain. They feel fear. They know what's coming for their life. They're kept in crates this big. If they're diseased, they're kept next to other diseased pigs and they're not taken care of. They're not getting shots or hospitalized or getting to see a vet or anything like that. They're literally just suffering for their last final days, not being able to breathe, not being able to function, not being able to move, just hoping and praying that somebody or something comes and is able to help them and comfort them, and they're not. Pigs, especially because they're a little smaller than cows, they're beaten in the head with baseball bats several times until they die. They're shot, obviously they're shot. They're electrocuted. They are thrown in grinders alive. There's so many things that we do to torture these animals. It's not even like humane. It's just so torturous. Again, I don't want to get too into detail, but I put pictures on the screen of the awful, sad things that happens because of an animal eating industry that we so badly need. We don't need, okay, I'm being sarcastic. That we so badly need, that these animals are literally mass produced just to feed a temporary satisfaction. Like their whole life, their whole expenditure, their whole whatever the heck that word is, of their life is literally living in unsafe and unhealthy and unhappy areas in their life. They're unhealthy, they're not taken care of, they're not loved, they're not respected. And it's so difficult because when I bring this up to people, I understand that the animal aspect is truly the one thing that most people don't care about when I talk about veganism. And that's fine, to each its own. We'll talk about the other two big ones in a minute. But it's so funny. I've had so many people argue with me and they're like, well, you know, we produce these animals to eat them. We don't eat dogs and cats, and then get mad when somebody in China is eating a dog or a cat. That's literally because they've said in that society that that's normal. In our norm, we eat cows, pigs, chickens, turkey, things like that. And it's only because of what society has said is normal, and we just listen to it. So you can't be mad at somebody else for eating a dog or a cat, but then turn around and say it's okay to eat a pig or a cow or a chicken or a rabbit, like whatever. It's just so, to me, it's like, how do you just pick which animal deserves to die in an inhumane way at that, in which one it's weird or it's not right? How do you get to decide? Like, why do you get to decide that? Like, how do you get to say that you love animals and you respect animals, but then knowing, if you've researched more, because I'm not going to keep going into it, but knowing what happens to the animals or what doesn't happen to the animals, how can you call yourself an animal lover? How can you do that knowing what is going on? And I'm going to stop talking about the animal aspect of things because I feel myself choking up and I don't want to talk about it anymore. But you saw the pictures, you hear some things, and we can go into it even more. But it's ridiculous, and it's very sad, if I'm being honest. And that's one of the bigger reasons that I went and stay vegan. Number two, let's see, which way do I want to go with this? Let's just kind of go into the environmental aspect of things, because this one's, I think, a bigger one that a lot of people don't know, that really aligns with the animals, actually. So, crazy fact, we actually create food, more than enough food, to feed over 70 billion animals, land animals, that we eat a year. 70 billion cows, pigs, chickens, turkeys, whatever the hell y'all eat, a year. But that same product, cows, pigs, chickens, turkeys, only are enough out of the 70 billion that we are feeding with the food, with the grains, the veggies, the things that you guys love to say will run out one day if everybody's vegan, but we're feeding 70 billion animals with that. However, those same animals only turn around and we are only able to feed 7 billion people. 10 billion less than what my fruits, veggies, grains, whole food diets, the things that people love to say, those are going to disappear if everybody goes vegan. We're not going to have enough of that. That's what we feed the animals, 70 billion of them, in order to keep this industry, this meat industry going. But just the animals alone, can only feed 7 billion people. The math just doesn't even add up. It doesn't make sense. We are literally producing and feeding and taking care of animals more than what we're taking care of humans. So that was just a weird fact. And I say that to say, people are like, well, you care so much about the animals, you don't even care about anything else. That is stupid. And it's a very bad argument, because why are we feeding more animals than we're feeding humans? It doesn't even make sense, and it doesn't add up. Not to mention, again, I kind of got off topic there, but on the environmental aspect of things, it takes even more to feed 70 billion animals than it does to feed 7 billion human beings. If we were feeding them the same things that the animals were eating, instead of mass producing the animals in order to feed the humans, they would still be eating. They would be eating more. They would be getting more. There would be less starving people in the world. But instead, we're using that exact same resource that we could be using to feed humans, and we're feeding livestock to be killed, turn around, and then fed, feeding less people. Does that make sense? Very dumb numbers. I mean, it just doesn't add up. Weird things like animal farts. Okay, this is a weird one. Look it up. Animal farts are actually just as toxic as gas emissions from cars. Do you know how many animal farts there are in that world? Because of the industry. And again, yes, there would be animal farts, so don't y'all start commenting down below, blah, blah, blah. I know there would still be animal things and animal issues happening, but we are mass producing it to the point of, and next environmental fact, I guess, we have cut down an alarming, to the point that we've almost passed our safety point of the Amazon rainforest. We've deforested it. Is that a word? We've started that. And do you know why we're cutting down so much land and destroying our largest source of oxygen? Yes, it's for other things, I know. But the main and biggest and most alarming reason that we are cutting down most of the rainforest at the rate that we are, and that's not quick enough to be able to turn around and replant new plants and new things that are going to give us oxygen. The worst reason, the biggest reason that we are doing that is because they are being cleared to put cattle. They are being cleared. That land, those acres of land, is being cleared for us to literally put cattle on, to raise beef, mass-produced beef, to turn around and sell. We are killing ourselves. We are literally taking out our largest source of oxygen on this planet to put frickin' cows. Is that not is that not scary and mortifying? Is that not alarming? That is so scary. And nobody gives a shiznet. Nobody's going to care because it's putting money in people's pockets. It's putting money in the meat industry's pockets. And honestly, it's putting a tasty taste in your mouth. So take out the whole oxygen. Take it all out. Kill the animals. Take everything. I don't need it, don't want it, don't care. We're going to die anyway, right? Come on. Come on. Not to mention, Flint, Michigan still doesn't have clean water. Yet we are still able to produce enough water, again, to keep those 70 billion plus animals watered year round, day after day, every single minute of the day. They've got water, but certain places still don't have clean water, never have had clean water. Come on, these things just add up so much that they shouldn't make sense to you either. I get so, not even mad, but I just get so, what's the word? Just so excited to talk about this. I get so exaggerated when I talk about it because nobody knows. There's so many things that have happened or are happening that nobody knows about, especially when it comes to the environment and how the animal industry is truly affecting it. And lastly, and I feel like I've just talked so much, but lastly, your health. Obviously, guys, one of my main questions is, how do you get your protein? How do I get my protein? Because I don't eat meat, I can't get protein. And my favorite rebuttal to that is, well, where do you think the animal that you're eating got its protein from? Simple. I feel like I can just write that. Where do you think that animal got its protein from? What is that animal's diet, and what they don't just, how did that animal get the protein to make you eat it thinking that that's the only way you can get protein? They ate some dang broccoli. And I say broccoli because broccoli has, a head of broccoli, most heads of broccoli, depending on the size of what I'm going to say, but most heads of broccoli have more protein in it than a steak. Right? So it's crazy to think about, how could I get protein? Because I eat the very thing that your protein's getting its protein from. And I don't have to kill an animal, don't have to kill a tree to eat it. Cholesterol goes down, your weight goes down. I'm just talking physically, healthy wise, okay? There are so many beautiful, amazing attributes. My skin cleared up, I lost weight. I've been just, not even just losing weight, but just healthier. I breathe better. Okay, as far as your health goes, maybe TMI, I don't know, but Veganism helps you poop more. You're supposed to poop on average. You're supposed to poop at least once a day. And again, this is probably TMI, so if you don't want to talk about poop, I'm sorry, but I don't care. But it helps you poop more. You poop better. You're supposed to poop on average once a day. And I've heard people who say that they can't poop but once a week. Couldn't be me. I don't have that problem. That's weird. Okay? Maybe it's weird that I'm talking about poop, but at the same time, it is what it is. It's so much better for you. It cleanses you. Like, your body will thank you. There are so many beautiful health aspects of it that I can't even touch base on every single one. But there are so many amazing and beautiful things that will happen to you physically as well as mentally. I'm a happy person, and I'm always naturally a happy person. But I really do, the more I thought about it, I'm like, maybe my diet does have something to do with it. You don't feel as heavy physically, but as heavy emotionally and mentally as well. You're not putting those toxins, and I believe in energies. Like, you're not transferring the energy of a really sad, depressed, scared animal before it dies into your body. Like, you're not putting the weight on yourself so you're feeling good. It clears up every single thing about your well-being, and it has been truly the most amazing decision that I have ever made in my life. Is it easy? Absolutely not. Did I talk a lot? Yes, and I'm sorry. But I get very passionate. That's what I was looking at over this topic, because there are so many facts, and there's a lot of false information out there too that you have to kind of pick apart and you have to understand for yourself. But there's so many facts. There's so many amazing proven things, like certain doctors who I'm not going to mention, who have gone missing or they magically died after publicly exclaiming that, after publicly saying that veganism or a plant-based diet is the way to solve things like cancer, is a way to keep your cholesterol down, keep your weight down, feel healthier, be healthier. Like, a plant-based diet, and again, that goes back to kind of similarly with the animals. I can sit here and give you facts after facts after facts after facts, but unfortunately, a lot of people are going to hear these things and they're not going to think it as facts, because in a sense, we've all been brainwashed as to what is normal or okay or how things should be. Like, you can't get your protein unless you drink your milk and whatever the hell, like eat a beef patty. Like, come on. And it's so crazy. So, like, there's so many things that you do need to research for yourself. This is just why I went vegan. On top of the fact that I now am a cook. Like, I can cook, and it makes you learn how to cook. I burnt everything before I was vegan because, like, it was just so convenient to go eat out. It was so convenient to go, pick stuff up. You don't have that luxury anymore. Although, a lot of places are catching on to veganism because it is trendy right now. So there are a little bit more vegan options out there. However, I've learned how to cook. I've learned how, and I love it. And I've learned that there are still things out there that taste like meat. I still eat meatloaf. I still get to taste and eat burgers and chicken and pizzas and all the things, but nothing had to die. It's healthier for the planet, and it's healthier for me and for my daughter. My daughter's 3 and she's vegan. I don't feed her anything but a vegan diet, and it's really important to me that she continues that diet because it's, like I said, all these reasons that I've gotten into. My daughter is the smartest, healthiest, most amazing, happy, beautiful little girl. She's so amazing. And not to say that, she doesn't have great parents and people in her life who love her, but I really do think that your diet plays such a big toll in the person that you are and who you become. I mean, if you eat McDonald's every day, let's just be honest, like, you're going to be heavier, you're going to feel heavier, you're going to feel disgusting, you're just going to feel down physically and emotionally. If you eat salads and fruits and veggies and whole grains and all these great things, and even things that are processed, I mean, that's another step in itself. But even if you're eating a processed Beyond Burger or Impossible Burger or some fried jackfruit chicken, whatever it is, you're eating those things, you're still getting the taste and the things that you love, but you're feeling healthier, not as bloated, not as heavy, not as tired, not as annoyed, not as just, as if you're eating the meat, the real deal. So this is why I became vegan. There are so many facts, so many things to break out about this. I really feel like I need to stop talking. But so yeah, if you guys have any questions as to why I became vegan, if you have any questions about anything that I said, if you want to know more, please let me know. I love talking about this. I love going into it in detail, and I love sharing information with people because people are just really ignorant, right? They don't know. But again, I feel like it's important to say that you're not going to be perfect. There's going to be mistakes made. It's going to take you years. I'm 25 this year and finally getting to the point where, I'm steady in the decision and going into my next transition, which is cutting out everything that's not just food, that's not vegan, and eventually cutting out processed food and going to just a whole-based diet, which is a process in itself, and it's a big old transition. But it's a process, it's an everyday thing. So please reach out to me. Please reach out to fellow vegans. I found going on Facebook and reaching vegan groups has been really helpful for me because I don't have vegan friends. So find like-minded people, ask the questions, do the things, do the research on your own. And this is my favorite thing to say, if you're ready for a transition, whether it's vegetarian, pescatarian, veganism, plant, whole food veganism, raw veganism, whatever it is, why? Know your why, and it's so much easier to stick to it. And for me, my why has been my health, the animals, and the environment, period. All three of those, that is my why. It started with one, led to another, and here I am with all three of them, the best decision I have ever personally made in my life, and it is so worth it. It is something that you can do. You can do it. I promise you, food is just as good, just as delicious. If you want to try some, let's go. Let's try some. Give me some recipes you want to try. If you have questions, let me know. But you can do it. And I'm just so excited to share this information with people. So please feel free to reach out. Follow me on Instagram or TikTok. And I do a lot of shorter videos. I do a lot of little cooking videos and stuff on there too. So it's a lot of fun. But I hope this video helped you guys. I hope that you kind of have a better understanding because this is my most asked question. And if you guys have any more questions, concerns, anything that you want to talk about, please let me know. More than anything, guys, know you are so loved. You matter so deeply. I hear you. I see you. I love you guys. And I will talk to you next time.